Center, June 11th through the 16th. Get tickets at DaytonLive.org.
Yes, I see the flame and I see smoke.
We see flames. There's fire. Yeah, it's done. It's up in flames. Oh my gosh, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Holy crap.
The reaction tonight, an investigation also now underway after multiple buildings caught fire in Dayton.
Now, you just heard some of the 911 calls that came in early this morning. Happened on the 2100 block of East 4th Street in Dayton just before 3:30 this morning. When crews got there, they say 3 buildings were engulfed in heavy fire. Now, luckily, no one was inside. A firefighter did suffer minor injuries, but is expected to be okay. All 3 buildings were deemed total losses, and an emergency demolition was requested. Now, several nearby homes were also damaged from the heat of that fire, melting the sidings. Now, the cause of the fire is still very much under investigation. In fact, anyone with information is asked to contact the Fire Investigations Unit. That number there at the bottom of your screen.
Developing tonight, a heartbreaking loss. A few dozen horses killed when a fire ripped through a Logan County barn. Investigators are now trying to figure out how it all started. Carly Van Cleve taking a closer look at the investigation.
Take a look at the damage behind me. This was a massive fire here. I understand there were dozens of horses inside. 44 of those horses died. The owner tells me his family is just devastated, working to rebuild a business that meant so much. An unthinkable disaster for a family in Logan County Saturday. A massive fire broke out at this horse farm in Bell Center.
I mean, it happened so fast. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Farm owner Brandon Brandt says he, along with his family and employees, scrambled to clear the horses from the raging barn.
I don't think anybody understands. This thing went like that.
He says 44 horses died. Only a few survived.
If you own horses, this is probably the absolute worst possible tragedy that you could, dream of happening, honestly.
Brandt says one of their trainers ran back inside and tried to save more animals. He's now in the hospital recovering with severe burns.
Everybody that works for me thankfully got out. My family wasn't here. My kids, I have 2 kids, and my wife, they were away, so thank God.
The business is now out hundreds of thousands of dollars. Brandt says they spent years training their horses for competitions.
We had some that were, valued at $250,000. And maybe higher, some of them, right? So,
not to mention the heartbreak for the families who owned each horse.
We lost a lot of horses. Those are relationships. They're like our kids, right? That's what we do every day. We love, horses. So,
on top of it all, he says several of his employees actually lived there. They lost everything they owned, too. Rebuilding the business going to take a lot of time, but Brandt says they're grateful for the support.
I don't know how long it'll take. I guess we just take it day by day right now. So,
investigators say they are still working to figure out the cause of the fire here. The family tells me they are going to take some time to process things before figuring out their next step.
Well, Dayton police, they need your help tonight finding this guy. 55-year-old Jack Gayhart is a suspect in a series of vandalism and criminal damaging cases. Now, Gayhart has been previously arrested on similar charges. If you know where he is tonight, you're asked to contact Dayton police. That number there right on the bottom of your screen.
Taking a live look right now inside the Huber Heights City Council meeting. We're waiting to hear if council will be approving the appointment of an interim city manager. This after Richard Zick was arrested in Mount Vernon for DWI while driving a city vehicle. Now, we do have a crew inside that meeting, as you can see, and as soon as we hear their decision, we'll update you on air and online.
Well, even though school is out, summer is upon us, the staff and volunteers at the Dayton Food Bank, they're already working to prepare meals for children facing food insecurity for next school year. Eli Burgett visited the food bank earlier today. What can you tell us about where they are in the process there?
Well, at the end of May, the Dayton Food Bank received a $4,000 donation from Wood Forest National Bank that will create an additional 450 meals for food insecure children, next school year. And as soon as the beginning of next month, they will begin purchasing food supplies to create those meals.
And folks can call, families can call, grandparents, whoever is taking care of the child can call and say, hey, I actually need a little extra help. Where's my local food pantry at? And we can make that connection to them there on the phone.
The Good to Go backpack program, created by the Dayton Food Bank, is meant to serve food-insecure school-age children. The food bank staff hopes that this program gives children just a little something extra to get them through the weekend when they are not in school. The bags are delivered right before the weekend, on Thursday or Friday, directly to the children while they are at school. With the Good to Go backpack program and several other initiatives, food-insecure children in Dayton just need to reach out when they are in need. The food bank has plenty of opportunities for people to get involved, so if you are interested in volunteering, you can visit thefoodbankdayton.org/give-time to see how you can help the cause. Back to you.
Eli, thanks. And when kids are fed, they're fueled to thrive. But for many kids that rely on schools for their meals, summer can be a challenge. So that's why we're continuing to partner with Feeding America for Sinclair Care's Summer Hunger Relief. Just scan the QR code you see in the middle of your screen there, and you can help provide meals for children and families right here in our area.
Let's give you a live look tonight. Oh my goodness, it is cloudy out there. You can see it on our Eagle Plummer Sky Cam. Let's send it out to Chief Meteorologist Natalie Walters.
I almost need a jacket out here on our Watson's weather patio. It is a chilly one. It has been very cool, well below normal temperatures for this time of the year. Taking a look at our high temperature today, 64 degrees. So this is actually the third lowest maximum temperature on record in Dayton, with the record being 62 set back in 1937. So needless to say, it's been a very cool one. Stepping outside, not feeling like June at all, with temperatures in the 60s. We got 62 in Dayton, 61. You can see in Troy, 62, up in Sydney, a little warmer up in Wapakoneta at 64, but all of us significantly colder compared to this time yesterday. 13 degrees colder in Dayton, 13 degrees colder up in Wapakoneta. And it's going to be a cool night, lows dropping into the upper 40s by early tomorrow morning, but my full forecast, hard to believe temperatures after the day we had today. We got a big warm up on the way, so I'll have the details coming up.
Jury deliberations are now underway in the federal gun case against Hunter Biden. The 12-member jury in Wilmington, Delaware, are determining whether the president's son is guilty of 3 felony gun charges. It all stems from his purchase of a gun in 2018, when prosecutors say he lied about his drug use. Now, this is the first time a sitting U.S. president's child has been on trial. Last week, President Joe Biden said he would not pardon his son if he is found guilty. We're also learning tonight that the Supreme Court agreed to hear an appeal from Facebook related to a massive data breach. Elisa, the Now Desk. So what is this about?
Adam, this actually centers around on how much information was disclosed to investors about damage that was caused by that breach. Now, the breach involves the private information of millions of Facebook users obtained by Cambridge Analytica. That's the firm that worked with former President Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. Back in 2019, Facebook agreed to pay just a little more than $5 billion to settle charges. However, investors argued they didn't disclose enough about the damage caused. So the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals actually agreed, allowing that lawsuit against Facebook to proceed. The High Court's decision in the case is expected next year.
Thousands gathered in Washington, D.C. this past weekend to protest the Israel-Hamas war. Critics, though, zeroing in on what some of them left behind. Kayla Gaskins breaks down what happened.
This past weekend, pro-Palestinian protesters demonstrated outside the White House, vandalizing statues and monuments that commemorate U.S. veterans.
You had anti-American, pro-Hamas lunatics defacing and desecrating the statues of our great veterans, which is a plain violation of federal law.
On Monday, the U.S. Park Service confirming no arrests were made for the destruction of government property.
But Joe Biden's government allowed it to happen, and I bet we're not going to see any arrests or prosecutions for violating that law.
Senator Tom Cotton writing on X, "I expect the Justice Department to use every technique against them that it used against the grandmas in MAGA hats on January 6th. According to the DOJ's website, 79 January 6th protesters have been charged with destruction of government property. More destruction occurring overseas. The U.S. Embassy in Australia vandalized on Sunday, windows smashed, and pro-Palestine symbols painted on the glass. The Prime Minister calling this destruction a crime, urging a return to respectful political debate. Meanwhile, Senator Tom Cotton says he plans to introduce legislation on Capitol Hill this week to impose stiffer penalties on demonstrators who cause damage to federal property. On Capitol Hill, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
The United Nations World Food Program pausing its aid work at the U.S.-built pier in Gaza. The World Food Program says that pause is due to safety concerns for its staff. It comes after the head of the World Food Program says 2 of its warehouses were hit with rockets on Saturday. The UN did not say how long the pause in aid distribution from the pier would last.
Well, this week's inflation numbers could be a determining factor of when we could get to actually see interest rate cuts. Wednesday's numbers come out just before the Federal Reserve begins the second day of its policy decision. Now, back in May, Fed officials saw a lack of progress on inflation. If prices dip, that could result in a different conclusion. European counterparts announced rate cuts last week.
I'm sure that you will be asking, what about next time? And I will invariably tell you the same thing, which is what is included in the monetary policy statement. We shall be data dependent, and we shall decide meeting by meeting.
Now, most economists aren't expecting a cut before September.
The Port of Baltimore Channel could fully reopen in the next few days. The original targeted reopen was this past weekend, but that did not happen. The port and channel have been closed since the Key Bridge collapsed back in March. 6 construction workers were killed. This weekend, the Army Corps of Engineers said salvage operators now believe they have fully cleared the 7
tonight.
I definitely think there should be some kind of regulation.
I'm not worried about it.
I don't think more dispensaries are going to cause more people to visit those stores.
How is this going to affect our community?
Right now, Newark City Council members are discussing possibly limiting recreational licenses only to the 3 existing medical dispensaries in town. Council member Jonathan Lang believes the city should expand beyond those.
I think everybody on council respects the fact that in Ohio and even within the city of Newark, the voters have said this is a direction we want to go.
Sunnyside is one of the dispensaries here in Newark. We talked to their team on Monday.
It's completely normal for a municipality to evaluate what they want for their community. Nobody wants an oversaturation or a cannabis dispensary on every corner.
Maybe the city councils need to visit that and decide how many per square mile of those types of businesses that they would like to have.
Lang says they're working on that, but there's also rules the state has in place.
The state regs include a 1-mile buffer between dispensaries, so the idea of there being one on every street corner, I don't think that's anybody's intent.
That's Kate Seifert reporting. A combined COVID-19 and flu shot could be coming. Moderna says its combination vaccine showed positive late-stage trial results. Now, the company says people who got it had an improved immune response compared with those who got the shots available now. Moderna says the combined vaccine was well tolerated. Most common complaints were pain at the injection site, tiredness, muscle pain, and headaches. Moderna plans to present its data at an upcoming medical conference and then submit the trial for publication. And the FDA expected to rule soon on a new Alzheimer's drug that could slow the progression of the disease. Elise back at the Now Desk. Any sense on when that's expected to happen?
So, Adam, it's expected to happen really sometime today or tomorrow. At this point, it is looking like that drug will be approved not just by the FDA, but also a panel of experts. So, Eli Lilly's new drug is called donanemab, and the drug maker says it has been proven to actually slow the progression of Alzheimer's. So, there's some pretty serious side effects, though, which include brain swelling and bleeding, which is kind of why it's taken so long for it to be approved. The FDA was supposed to rule on the drug back in March, but wanted an independent panel of experts to also weigh in first.
Well, a cool one today, well away from the 90s today. And to put things into perspective for you, we have yet to hit 90 degrees so far this year, going to the year past, June 2nd, 2023. Just last year, we had already hit 90 degrees by this point. 22, June 13th on the 2021, it was June 12th, the first time we hit our 90-degree day. Now, as far as this forecast goes, it would be June 12th. That's what I have as our first 90-degree day of the year. You can see we kind of have a cool pocket of air right over the state of Ohio almost, but just to our southwest, we got lots of 80s. We'll start to gradually warm up. We get back into the 70s tomorrow, but our longer term looking very warm. Here's a look at the Climate Prediction Center temperature outlook indicating above normal temperatures. This is a 6 to 10 day outlook. So by late this week into next week, we are tracking well above normal temperatures for our region. I'll let you know how warm we'll get coming up in just a bit.
A story from our partners at the Dayton Business Journal. A local retail chain with deep roots in the Dayton area is actually getting a little bit of a facelift. Ariel Wine and Spirits on Far Hills Avenue in Kettering will be undergoing a remodel. The store will be getting new flooring, fixtures, and shelving to hold even more wine and spirits. The project is expected to start on July 8th. Don't worry, though, they plan to stay open during the remodel. We have all the details right now at Dayton247now.com. You can find this story and others like it underneath the Dayton Business Journal heading in the News tab.
One of the biggest names in women's basketball and women's sports as a whole won't be on Team USA in this year's Summer Olympics in Paris. Caitlin Clark, who plays for WNBA's Indiana Fever, says she was informed by USA Basketball that she did not make the cut. Now, some critics say it's a missed opportunity for the team to draw more attention to the Olympic sport. Clark herself says it's just another challenge.
Honestly, no disappointment. Like, I think it just gives you something to work for. You know, that's a dream. You know, hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and you know, hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, you know, I can be there.
Now, Clark became a household name after selling out arenas and making it to the NCAA championship for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And we're carrying 17 Fever games this season, including one tonight. The Indiana Fever WNBA game will air on MyTV Dayton tonight. The Indiana Fever tipping off against the Connecticut Sun. You can catch it starting at 7 p.m. on MyTV Dayton. That's 22.3 over the air or Spectrum Channel 24.
Well, cloud cover kept temperatures down across the Miami Valley today. You could see those clouds still lingering across the Miami Valley, but to our northwest, starting to see some clearing. For Salina, you probably have some sun for you. Same thing in Sydney. Temperatures are actually already rebounding just a little bit after what has been a pretty cloudy day. Now, these clouds are continuing to head their way out, and we got lots of sun in the forecast for tomorrow. With temperatures, they'll start out in the 40s. It's going to be a chilly start tomorrow afternoon. Upper 70s back in the forecast. Lots of sun, so it's going to be a huge difference from the 60s we saw today. And then by our Wednesday, temperatures climb even more, getting up into the 80s. I'm thinking even some upper 80s possible. And then I do have 90s back in the forecast by our Thursday time frame. And you can see that here as we look into our next 7-day temperatures. We get 90s on Thursday. And then, in fact, by the start of next week, I think we could see some mid-90s across the area.
Well, Celtic Fest is back this weekend. A look at all the fun activities the event has in store for you. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Stanley Cup Final continues on ABC.
The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
Celtic Fest Ohio returns to Waynesville this weekend. It's full of live music, dancing, food, drinks, and of course fun. Tage Joshi was out at Renaissance Park to check out what they all have going on.
Celtic Fest Ohio is happening this weekend here on the grounds of the Renaissance Festival, and we are very excited because there's going to be great music and great food. In fact, this pirate ship themed stage is the main stage here, where there's going to be a lot of great music from local groups who perform all over the Miami Valley. Plus, there's going to be some internationally known bands, Celtic and Gaelic bands, that are coming here to perform very exciting stuff. We also want you to know that there are lots of vendors who are going to be here, and great food options, from the iconic turkey legs here on the grounds, plus a special tasting event for all different types of Celtic foods, all happening this weekend just on Saturday. This is a one-day festival, and if you want to get your kilt made, you can actually do that here. And plus, the team here recommends, hey, why not come out here in a fun time period of course, correct costume as well. It should be a lot of fun, especially for music and food lovers. My friends, back to you in the studio.
Well, heading out there this week, it is going to be on the warm side. Temperatures are going to be climbing. So by tomorrow, back in the upper 70s. I did give it kind of iffy conditions just because the morning's going to be chilly. We're going to start out in the 40s, and then we rebound nicely into the upper 70s for the afternoon. We stay pretty dry Wednesday, Thursday, 80s, 90 on Thursday. But then we start to see even warmer temperatures come into play. So here's that extended forecast. Got some storms possible on Friday. And then we warm up by next week, low mid-90s by next Monday. So
I heard rumors that we're going to be
steamy.
like potentially high 90s.
We could be. It's still 7 days out, so I'm not going to throw those numbers out there just yet, but it is going to be hot.
Man,
yeah.
If you're not watering your lawn, you better start now.
Well, summer's definitely here.
Right.